Hello, my name is John Lee and I'm the president of Alpha Training and Consulting, and I have a true passion for preparing students for ASQ certification exams. I love it. But today we're going to go over practice exam questions for the ASQ CQA exam. And we're going to get those questions right out of the CQA primer, which comes from the Quality Council of Indiana. A great group of people out there to work with. I've worked with them for decades. They're wonderful to work with. They create this wonderful product called the CQA Primer, and we use it in our online classes. What we have you do is listen to all our lectures, take our exams, then you review the primer, and I go over in video form, like I'm doing right now, through all the questions at the end of each chapter, so that you'll be ready for that ASQ certification exam. If you're interested in our online certification exam, please go to www.asqcqa.com. I created a website just for the CQA class. So please go and visit that. I think I have over 10 embedded videos answering questions specifically concerning the Certified Quality Auditor certification exam and certification. But for right now, what we're going to do is move on and let's go through those questions. Question 1 is, an audit for registration of ISO 9001 would be an example of what type of an audit? Well, it's definitely a system audit, but they only give us the option of second-party audit, third-party audit, first-party audit, procedural audit. Well, another name for first-party audit is an internal audit. A registration audit is an external audit. Second-party audit is a supplier audit, and third-party audit will be the outside audit, the external audit, independent audit. So the correct answer here is going to be B. This will be a third-party audit. A registrar audit is a third-party audit, so it'll be B. I'll always check to see if I get them correct, and that one I did. Various aspects of a business, such as facilities, resources, economic stability, technical capability, personnel, production capabilities, and past performance, as well as the entire quality system, is called. Wow. An ISO 9001 audit? No, I mean it could be, but not. Economic stability isn't really part of an ISO audit, so it won't be ISO. It's not an internal assessment. There's not enough information to make that correct. It doesn't say internal. It doesn't necessarily say external either, but it's not. So I get rid of B because it doesn't suggest it's internal. A first-party audit? Well, first party is an internal audit, and you can't have two correct answers here. And they do that quite often. They'll give you two answers that are the same or worded differently, and they can't both be correct because they don't give me a chance for B and C here. So those must both be correct. Incorrect, I mean. So that leaves me with what? D, a quality assessment. And that is true. Let's go to your primer and see what assessment means here. There it is. Assessment. This is another term for the quality audit, sometimes used to indicate a less formal means of measuring and reporting than the normal audit. And then you have contracting phase of an assessment and an execution phase. So anyway, by process of elimination mostly, I realized this is a quality assessment, so I picked D on this one. Remember, these two mean the same thing, first party and internal audit. Okay, and ISO 9001, a lot of this is all right, but not economic stability. There's probably other ones that aren't in an ISO audit either. So anyway, by process of elimination, I knew it was D. 2 is it D? Yes, it is. The modern audit philosophy emphasizes which of the following? Okay, informal documentation? No. Formal documentation is modern audit philosophies. Assignment of blame? No, you're looking for system problems. Objective evidence? Yes, that is true. That is modern audit philosophies. Objective evidence. Covert personnel reporting? Obviously not. So this one will no doubt be C. I'll still check it out, as I always do, but it is C. So we've started off well. Let's see how we do on the second one. Which of the following is the most important factor in team problem solving? Well, brainstorming techniques is definitely important.
use of the cause and effect method. You know, if I had to choose between A and B, I'd pick A, because there's many techniques you could use as brainstorming techniques. Cause and effect is just one of them, so A is more general. So if I had to choose between A and B, I'd go with A because it's more general. Getting opinions and details from management. No, management is very busy and they don't have time to give details on everything you do. Obtaining the facts about a problem. So it comes down to either A or D, brainstorming or obtaining facts about a problem. Well, the objective of brainstorming is to get facts about a problem. So I'd say D is more encompassing, and that is the ultimate objective there, is obtaining the facts. However you get those, we don't want to restrict ourselves in how we're going to get that. So it's going to be D. 3.2 is D. Yes, it is. The service department has reported an increase in the number of customer complaints for product with missing owner's manuals. The vice president of marketing has requested an audit to determine the source of the problem. Reasonable. The scope of the audit should include a benchmarking of the competitors' products. No, this is a very specific problem in a very specific area, and I don't think we're going to be doing benchmarking during the audit. Benchmarking and audit aren't in alignment with this particular question, so I throw A out. The marketing, engineering, manufacturing, and shipping departments. Yeah, on shipping, I don't know about the other ones. I think that may be too big of a scope. I'm not going to throw it away, but I don't think it's going to be correct. The products, bill of materials, packing department, and final goods warehouse. Yes, I'd suspect this is where the problem's taking place. So I like C better than I like A and B, so they're gone. D, the manufacturing's personnel records, training records, and operating instructions. No, this is blaming more on the people. I'm like looking at the process better. So I think C is in best alignment to be correct. So 4.3, is it C? Yes, it is. Okay. Which of the following statements best represents a statement of condition? In other words, a statement of fact in an audit finding. We tested 100 invoices and found that 14 had been improperly paid. That is very factual. So my guess is that's going to be correct. As a result, $4,300 had been overpaid. All right, I like this one because it gives you more of an idea of the percentage. Accounts payable employees had not received current copies of purchase order changes. Now, as far as statement of fact, A is going to beat out. Buyers are required to prepare change orders and to immediately send copies to who? To accounts payable. No, the most factual statement here, objectivity, it even has numbers in it. So A and B has numbers. Numbers are usually a byproduct of objectivity, not always, but usually. And but I like this one is more specific. Okay, as a statement of fact. So I'd say 4.4 is A, and it is. What individual determines the distribution list of the final audit report? Well, first I would ask, who owns the audit report? The client owns the audit report. They paid for it, they own it. So what individual determines the distribution list of the final audit report? The auditing manager, the auditee chief executive officer, the audit client. It's the audit client, they own it, and the lead auditor. No, it's going to be C, no doubt. 5.3 is C. I don't even hardly need to look that one up. That is correct. Why should an auditor avoid giving unsolicited recommendations for corrective action? Why? Because you become a scapegoat. I don't think they'll put that in here. But auditee management is responsible for determining and taking effective corrective action. That's true. And that's one reason. So it is true. A could be the correct one. But there may be a better one. The auditor may be billed for unsolicited recommendations which hinder production. That's not necessarily true. The auditor's job is to obtain as many findings as possible, not to give advice. Well, you're not supposed to give advice, but you're not supposed to that shouldn't be your main objective to see how many findings you can get. You're just there to see if they're doing what they're doing, and if there's evidence showing there is, you shouldn't worry about getting a finding. And so that is completely wrong. D, the auditor will look bad if the recommendation is wrong. Yeah, that's true, but at the end of the day, it's auditee's management is responsible. You do not want to take that responsibility away from them. You create a dysfunctional situation. 5.4 is definitely A, and it is. What is the best application of an audit program? The key word here is application. Okay, provide an implementation system for management? Probably not. It's a little too general, I feel. Catch defects missed by inspection? No, that's too specific. Ensure that people follow procedures? No, it's bigger than that. Measure and report the effectiveness of the control functions. That's it right there. Measure and report the effectiveness. Effectiveness is always a great word in an ASQ exam anyway. So that helps me pick that one. And this whole one of implementation a system for management, that's too big for the audit program as just a portion of the company. So anyway, this no doubt is D. 6.1, D, that is correct. All right, so we're off on the right foot. That's how we like to start off. Risk analysis planning should. Okay, risk analysis planning should. Remember what risk is. It's probability and severity. I don't know if that'll help us in that one, but they test on that all the time. So I wanted to make sure you understood what risk was. There's two components. What are they? Probability and severity. Okay, risk analysis planning should be done at the beginning of the project or activity. That's true. That could very easily be the correct answer because it should be done earlier than later. Eliminate all associated contingency plans? No. Outcome of a risk analysis could be you have contingency plans, so it's not to eliminate them. No, so B's out of there. I like A, I don't like B. Identify and implement a metrics program. No. It just doesn't match that statement. Be updated upon project or activity completion. No, it should be done at the beginning. No doubt, 6.2 is A. I'll still look it up, but it is A. Traditionally anyway, doesn't mean it'll be that way in the future, but they don't test a lot on the math, but we never know. They could change that at any time, so we want to make sure we cover this well so that you'll be prepared. All right, let's get started. 7.1. Oh, by the way, as our journey through these different chapters, I just calculated our average thus far. It's 88.6%. It's a very good percentage for these. These are usually more tricky than the actual ASQ tests, just so you know. So if you can do well on these, you'll be in good shape. Our goal is to get 80% of these correct when you take it on your own. Currently, we're an average up to 88.6%. That's an average of Chapter 2, 3, 4, 5, and 6. So let's see if we can keep that average up there and maybe even improve it a little bit. Let's get started. Answer 1, or question 1, I should say. An X-bar chart has shown control for a long time. That's a good thing. Remember what control means. It means it's predictable. And you can't improve a process really unless it's predictable, so it's very important. So this one shows that it's in control, very predictable. However, the plot points for the last 50 samples are all within 1 sigma of the center line. This probably indicates a good thing for most processes. This probably indicates it is a desirable situation. You have to be careful of answering A because we don't have any idea what the process is for. It is an undesirable situation? No, it's not an undesirable situation. The process standard deviation has decreased during this time interval. I would pick this over A because we don't have enough information to make A. We don't know. Maybe you're building artificial rocks, okay, and you want some variability in there. You don't want all the rocks to look the same, low variability. So just because, yes, it has decreased standard deviation, the safer answer is C. And so that's kind of a tricky thing that ASQ does there. but C is better than A. So thus far, C is the correct answer. The control charts are incorrectly computed. We don't have enough information there to make this assumption. So I'm going to say C. Let's see if that's correct. 7.1 is C. Yes, it is. So hopefully you got what I said there. Yeah, this sounds good, but we don't know enough information about this process, so the safer alternative is C. An auditor notes that an X-bar control chart is centered and has an average of 20 and upper and lower control limits of 24 and 16 respectively. Okay. Assuming that the process is stable and a sample size of 4, what would be the approximate process spread? Huh? This one's kind of tricky, to be honest with you. They're kind of tricking us here a little bit. Because process spread is standard deviation of single events plus minus 3 sigma. And so this is a central limit theorem. I'm surprised they asked this on this particular test. So we're going to go to the whiteboard and we're going to work on this a little bit. So let's go through and write down what we know. Okay. And this is number 4. So what we have is we have an SPC chart. And the average is 20. Okay, so there we go. And an upper and lower control limits of 16 for the lower control limit, 24 for the upper control limit. Okay. And this, when they say the spread, they mean plus minus 3 sigma. So the spread is this. The spread is that plus minus 3 sigma, and we know the control limits are plus minus 3 sigmas away. So the spread, S-P-R-E-A-D, that's kind of hard to read, isn't it? But that's the spread. The problem with this question, though, is it doesn't ask for the spread of the SPC chart. If you did, you'd just say it's 24 minus 16 is 8. That would be very easy. But it asks for the spread of the process. Okay? So we have to convert this into sigma of single events. So this is what I'm going to do. I'm going to go 24 minus 16, and I know that across that there's 6 sigmas, so I'm going to divide this by 6. So 8 divided by 6. Let me get my calculator out here, and I'll go 8 divided by 6 equals 1.333. And this equals sigma of averages. So this is the sigma of averages here. Sigma of averages equals this. We need to convert this into sigma of single events. To do that, we're going to go use this equation. Sigma of averages equals sigma of single events divided by the square root of n. This is the formula for the central limit theorem. Then I'm going to use algebra to solve for sigma of single events. Now, it's not a requirement that you know algebra for this class. However, you should write down this formula. Standard deviation of single events equals sigma of averages times the square root of n. So, and n is 4, sample size of 4. I'll write this down here. I should have done it earlier. It says right in the question the sample size is 4. So we know this is 1.33. So I'll put that in there. 1.33 times the square root of 4. Then I'm going to use my calculator to calculate that. So I'm going to go 4 square root. So I'm going to hit that button right there after I put the 4 in to get the square root of 4. There's my square root of 4. It gives me 2. So 2 times 1.33 times 1.33 gives me 2.66. So sigma of single events equals 2.66. There it is. Now that I know sigma of single events, remember what I want. They want the spread of the process. Process means sigma of single events. So I'm going to go 6 times 2.66. And before I do that, I'm going to look back at this. And I see what they're doing. Okay. So they want to know about the average. So what it's going to be, the spread, I'm going to have to erase some stuff here. And so I'm going to do that so I have room. And so what they want is the upper and lower control limit for single events. So I'm going to go 20 plus 3 times sigma. That will give me the upper control limit. 3 times 2.66 is 7.98 plus 20 is 27.98. Or they may just call it 28. Let me see what they did here. Yeah, and that's all we need to do because the answers has a 28 and only one time for the upper control limit. We could do the lower control limit. We'd just minus 3 times 2.66. But this is all we need. The answers, I'll show you that now, is 28. Let me blow this up so we can see what's going on here. There we go. And so here it is, 7.4. And notice there's only one with 28 as an upper control limit. So that's the correct answer. Like I said, I think this is a little overkill. I don't think they'll ask you anything this difficult. But it is within the body of knowledge, so that they have the legal right to ask such a question. But you're not going to get a lot of them that's this difficult. This is a central limit theorem test question. Of course, I'd still like you to understand it because maybe you'll just fail the exam by one question. Most of the people that fail the certification exam that take my class, they usually only miss it by 1 or 2. So, if this isn't too much for you, I hope you'll spend the time to understand this, make sure you can do it right. If it's too much, I wouldn't worry too much about it, to be honest with you. But this should be A. 7.4 is A, and that is correct. The probability of accepting material produced at an acceptable quality level is defined as. Okay, I wish I had my paper to look this up. I have a stack of papers here. I'm just going to look real quick to see if it's in there. And it's not, unfortunately. But I have a little table, and it's in your sampling plans. I think AS Z1.4 and Z1.9 that describes alpha, beta, 1 minus alpha, 1 minus beta. First of all, the 1 minuses mean you made the correct decision. If it was bad, you rejected it. If it was good, you accepted it. The probability of accepting material produced at an acceptable quality level is defined. Oh, so you're accepting good. So it is going to be one of these 1 minuses. If you accepted something bad because you didn't pick up on it in your sampling plan, it'd be alpha or beta. But this is going to be 1 minus alpha or 1 minus beta because you made the right decision. But it was good and you accepted it as good. So that's 1 minus alpha. I think 1 minus beta is it's bad and you said it was bad. So without looking it up, I'm going off memory here, and I could be wrong, but I'm going to say 710 is C. Okay, and it is. And so I felt fairly comfortable about that. But you should get that matrix out that has describes all of these things. Okay, but 1 minus alpha, again, it was good, and you said it was good. 1 minus beta, it was bad, and you said it was bad. Beta is when you send a bad part to the customer, and alpha is when you reject a good part. So that's my memory on those. But I don't expect you to have those memorized, but you do need to have that. I do have it on the critical stack list. So be sure you can find those. They're very important. Which of the statements below is most applicable to the 3 curves below? Well, this is skewed to the right, this is skewed to the left. Curve 2 is skewed to the left. No, it's skewed to the right. The mode, median, and average are the same in curves 2 and 3. No, only in the normal distribution will those be equal of those three indicated there. So that is incorrect. Curves 2 and 3 indicate out of control conditions. Not necessarily, but it could be. But I'm not going to throw that one away. Curve 1 represents good control, yes. The poster child of in-control processes is the normal distribution. So D is the correct answer. 731, D, yes it is. I knew it. Welcome to the Alpha Training and Consulting's online training program. Today we're in section 8 where we have case studies and questions. And let me see, there's 33. We'll do 15 of them, which will take us, I believe, through case study 4 or 5. So let's get started on the first one. Again, these are scenarios. The hardest part of these is keeping track of everything you read in the case study and applying it to the question. But let's see how we do. You are conducting a systems audit. Remember, that's the big one, which includes product and process audits. And during the audit, you discovered that a test report indicated that a 120-hour reliability test had been conducted in 3 days. Well, how could that be? Because 3 days is what? 48, 58, 68, 72 hours, and it says it's a 120-hour test, so there's something wrong here. Further investigation revealed that a similar shortcut had been taken for one of 3 other components checked. So it's happened on multiple occasions. When these conditions were brought to the attention of the appropriate plant management, they were visually disturbed. And remember, you always have to look for body language also. So you know something's wrong here. They assured you that the appropriate steps would be taken immediately to deal with the technicians and laboratory supervisor involved. So it sounds like they're going to do some personify, blame, and punish here, which isn't big on ASQ's docket anyway. Plant management assured you that the 2 components in question would be tested for the appropriate times and they would forward the test results to you. They further pointed out that the time between the failure for all supplied components had always been greater than ordered. This fact agreed with your company data that you have collected. Since their supplier record had heretofore been unblemished, they requested another visitation within 30 days, and they further asked that you do not document your current findings. Okay? Well, that's not going to happen. Okay? You have to write all the findings down. Due to the time spent discussing the testing violations, only a portion of your checklist had been completed. Based on all these conditions, you took the following action. Okay? And here we go. Now they're going to ask us a bunch of questions on that. In response to the supplier request not to document the observed violations, you should. Honor the request? No, I don't need to read that any further. Honor the request for B? No. Discuss the situation with your immediate supervisor? Possibility. Document the violations as a finding in your report? D is correct. You had a finding, you found it, and you're going to document it. So 8.1 is D, and that is correct, of course. Was the indicated corrective action adequate? Yes, based on past reliability data. I don't know that we have enough information to know if it's adequate. I really don't think so. So it's going to be one of the no's. No, because the reason for the violation had not been identified. That's true. I think that's correct. No, because verification of test results have not been received. I believe B is the better answer to this one because it's more general between B and D. So B, 8.2, is it B? Yes, it is. Should the request for an immediate follow-up audit be honored? Yes, I think so. Yeah. So I think it's one of the yeses. Yes, dependent upon the supplier's formal reply to the finding. Yes, because the audit was only partially completed. No, the existing audit schedule should be adhered to. I don't think so. No, the action taken in this case was appropriate. So it is one of the yeses, so I'm going to compare those because this audit was only partially completed. Yes, dependent upon, I like dependent upon the supplier's formal reply to the finding. So yes, I'm going to wait for a formal reply to the finding, then I'll do the follow up directly after that. I have no problem with moving the schedule up. So 8.3 is A, and that is correct.
Congratulations, you have completed this video, but remember, I have a lot of experience in ASQ certification exams, so if you have any questions, please contact me. I've passed most of those exams myself. And you can contact me through my website at alphatc.com. Again, that's alphatc.com. And go to a Contact Us option. Send me a message. I'll get back with you as soon as possible. Thank you very much and have a great day. Goodbye.